Welcome to Inside Evil Interrogations, where we explore the psychology behind some of the most unsettling criminal cases and the methods investigators use to uncover the truth. Don't forget to subscribe for in-depth breakdowns and unique insights into real-life interrogations. Today, we analyze the interrogation of Matthew Lehi, whose recorded comments and subsequent violent actions against a transgender woman drew attention not only for their brutality, but for the erratic behavior he displayed. Over the course of this 1-hour interrogation, detectives confront a suspect whose unstable mental state becomes increasingly evident as his narrative shifts and emotional responses escalate. Paranoia and contradictions. As detectives introduce video evidence showing Lehi's inflammatory comments, his demeanor shifts dramatically. He alternates between laughing off the footage and vehemently denying its context, even when directly confronted with his words. He accuses detectives of not understanding the bigger picture, implying a paranoid worldview where he perceives himself as targeted unfairly. Forensic experts would note these rapid emotional shifts as indicative of a volatile mental state. His paranoia and deflections, combined with his insistence that he was the one under threat, create a narrative that oscillates between victimhood and bravado.
Did you need to drink a water or anything? Are you okay?
I'm good for now.
Okay, all right. If something comes up with a change, if you need something, just let us know, okay? I mean, there's a lot going on, and we're here to try to do as much as we can to talk with you, a little bit and understand it. I've never met you before, and these aren't the easiest of circumstances to meet somebody, okay? But I'd like to have a conversation,
Okay.
if that's okay with you, and we have rules we have to follow. You're here at our station, you're in the interview room, so I have to read you your rights from a form. Did somebody already read it to you, one of the officers?
No, not yet.
Okay, because sometimes you met the really tall guy, Officer Salvis.
I don't know, just the two guys that were driving the car.
Yeah, he's like exceptionally tall. He's like 6'5" or something like that. Like when you stand next to somebody that tall, you're like, okay,
I don't think I've met that
that's
yet.
okay. He usually reads people their rights, but I'm going to read them to you just to make sure you understand, okay? It says here, I have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Anything you say may be used against me in a court of law. Do you understand?
Yes.
I have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with me while being questioned. You understand? If I cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent me free of charge before any questioning. You understand that?
Yes.
I can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. You understand? I understand these rights, and having them in mind, I wish to talk to the officers now.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm just have you put your name on the top right there. All right. And it says signed. That's going to be you. How do you pronounce your last name?
Lehi?
Lehi. Okay. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to assume. That's okay. That's all you need to do, sir. Hey, so again, I know there's a lot going on today. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with you? You're not from here, from Boise, Idaho, right?
No, I'm from a city in Oregon called Eugene.
I know exactly where Eugene is. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what your specific questions would be.
Well, I just didn't know what brought you to Boise.
I fled Eugene
Okay.
because of the Wiccans in the area.
Okay.
People practicing pagan witchcraft that
Okay.
targeted me in early 2020. I worked at an organic market,
Okay.
and
You mean like a supermarket or?
there's a place called Capella Market. It's kind of like a Boise co-op.
Oh, I'm tracking. I'm tracking.
And rubbed shoulders with the wrong people, and ever since then, I never partook in anything that they were doing, but a number of people there told me that they were involved in occultism and magic.
Okay. And that's not, you're not into that at all, right?
Not at all.
Okay.
I'm a Christian.
Okay, so you're actually the opposite of that.
I'm an anti-New World Order Christian. I'm a King James only type guy.
Okay. That's-
I was considering moving to like Bonners Ferry or somewhere in the Midwest
Okay.
to get with people who are of a
So
like
you,
mind.
so you did some homework on very conservative religious areas that are strictly Bible based. So that's you're going to tell me Bonners Ferry. You're going to tell me some Midwest places. Is it?
Yeah, I didn't know where I would go in the Midwest. Just some YouTube channels. I have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
If you want to learn, I have some videos on there where I'm trying to basically tell people what's going on.
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
It's just Matt Lehigh.
Matt Lehigh, not Matthew.
No.
Okay. So what about that YouTube? What is that?
Feel free to watch every video on there. It's a gospel YouTube channel. I'm kind of trying to network with other people who are waiting for the rapture in the church before the tribulation. And basically, ever since 2020, I've had stuff, really supernatural events start happening to me, very negative stuff. There's so much to the story. It's like I wouldn't know where to start.
Well, let's start back in Eugene. You said you fled from there. You said that you had some interaction with these Wiccans and people that were targeting you.
Initially, I fled Eugene and I took a trip down through California to San Antonio, Texas, where my mom lives. And this was 2020. It was like late 2020. And basically, every step of the way, there's been events that have been, I'm just going to tell you guys this because I don't really care if I get locked up. I think I might be safer locked up at this point. But they put a voice in my head using artificial intelligence. I don't know if you guys know about Elon Musk's brain chip. They don't need a brain chip. That's old technology that they give to us basically to make fun of us. So they have the ability. There's also something they have called voice-to-skull technology that our military actually used in it was the Iraq War. They also call it voice of God technology. It allows them to transmit sound waves within the human ear. So I have been getting threatened via this technology, I believe, either that or it's by some supernatural means. They worship the same spirits that they worshipped in ancient Rome, which I believe are fallen angels. And they worship them at underground, basically in, not underground actually, like I don't know where particularly, but they worship underground, like figuratively speaking, like an underground church, right?
Okay. They're just not out very public about it. They're just a little bit more secretive.
They're becoming more and more overt about it. Anytime you see someone wearing like a jacket with like that upside down star with a circle around it, those are people partaking in pagan worship. And basically, so they've been threatening me. They've been trying to get me to use a pentagram and trying to get me to basically join them. And since I've been rejecting them, they've been threatening me, and basically I've been driven from city to city. I'll do things like circling blocks against my will.
Okay.
Like in like the 1950s when people used to circle the block, kind of like that. But like I have no intention of it, right? Like I'm trying to get to my location, like whether it be like the supermarket or a place to sleep, and I'll just end up driving around blocks, and then they'll tell me, "Oh, you're claiming this block right now," and basically like everything that has been happening to me over the last years. I tried to tell people this. I told people this in Eugene, Oregon when I got arrested in Eugene, Oregon, for basically what they call being a runner, which is when they put the voice in your head so bad that it puts you in a really like a paranoid state of fear and makes you run like a person in an insane asylum. That's where the term runner came from. Was actually it's a witchcraft practice that it's called affliction. If you look in the King James Bible, it talks a lot about affliction. They afflict people to the point of basically either be in the insane asylum, or they try to afflict them to a point of committing crimes, or whatever they can do to try to discredit or lock the person away.
So Matthew, you refer to they a lot. Who is they? How can I understand that? Help me to understand.
They would be the occult as a whole.
Okay.
Anybody involved in paganism or Satanism, like people in Los Angeles at the Church of Satan. I don't know if that's like those specifically are the people who I'm hearing from. I don't, like, at the end of the day, I could be hearing from artificial intelligence. I could be hearing from somebody using some of their technology. I can't verify, right? Because all I have is the stimuli that I'm receiving in my mind. I tried to go back to work, and the voice tells me, we think you have what it takes to work for yourself. You're not allowed to go back to work.
Right.
They gave me the number 304-4000 when I went into Los Angeles. It wasn't even on the list of numbers that I chose from. I went to Verizon to get a smartphone because I knew I was going to be traveling. I used to just have a flip phone.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically gave me this number. That's a really high value number. And
Why?
is it a high value number?
Mm-hmm.
They were asserting that it's a high value number because it's clean, it looks professional. But to have something ending in 3 zeros and have like a number that looks clean like that.
Right, like it belongs to a professional organization or something.
Right, and like I looked up a lot of I tried to find other people with numbers like that, and every one, like the other numbers that I found were like Saddleback Church, it was like Bank of America in LA, it was like big, it's like skyscraper type vibe.
Yeah, sure.
I had no desire to ever get that number. Like the numbers, when I went to Verizon, and they gave me a list of numbers to select from. None of the numbers, like they'll give you a number and it'll give you the first 3 digits to choose from, and they'll give you maybe like 5 or 10 numbers, and then the last 4 digits are supposed to be random. And nowhere on the list that I selected from was the number 304 in the first 3 digits.
Sure.
I chose like 4 something something, and they gave me the number 304-4000 anyway. And ever since I received that number, the spiritual warfare, just kind of a catch-all phrase I used to describe everything I'm going through, has been worse. Depending on the...
Can I stop you for just 1 second? Are you on the message? Can you take care of that for me?
Yeah, I got all the fun stuff.
Thank you. Okay. I apologize for interrupting you, but Matt, do you go by Matt or Matthew?
Matt.
Okay, Matt, so when did you arrive here in Boise? I mean, I'm understanding that what you're telling me, and I'm hearing what you're saying. So you did some research about places that were a little bit better fit to your belief system and to what you were looking for. And that's how you got to Boise?
I wanted to move to a more conservative area.
Sure, okay.
Somewhere I figured there wouldn't be a lot of homosexuality and witchcraft.
Okay, and that's what brought you to Boise.
Yeah.
So when did you arrive here?
Let's see, it must have been a few weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. I can't remember exactly how long ago, but it's been at least, I think, a month. I took a trip up to Bonners Ferry, and I was going to live up there, but I'm been living in my car. I don't have money to get out of my car, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to rent an apartment up there.
Sure.
And so I knew it was going to be too cold at night. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to sleep at Bonners Ferry in my car.
Right.
So I came back down to Boise in hopes to just find basically a place where I could exist.
So today's the 12th. You said maybe a month ago, somewhere around that fair. But in that time, you've done some traveling around the area, so you haven't been strictly here. So were you in town? So we're kind of in the middle of the week. It's Wednesday, right? So were you here in town this last week?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact time frame of like when I went up to Bonners Ferry and came back. I think I've been back for like at least a week, but it hasn't been maybe, I don't know, man, the timing on a lot of this stuff is tough because of the level of stress.
That I understand. Yeah. it makes everything more difficult, like day-to-day functions, the stress adds to it.
I've been trying to make YouTube videos and like, have you ever seen homeless people that like they scream at traffic?
I have, yeah.
That's something that I had never done my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And after all this stuff, whatever technology they're using makes me basically scream like a homeless person.
Okay, sure.
And like, I believe that they do that to homeless people to make fun of them, and keep them, they call them low value people.
Sure.
And
It's a similar way of describing your number. It's a high value number. They're describing people that they're putting less worth to as low value.
yeah.
All right. So, Matt, it looks like your car's pretty important. I mean, you got a Subaru, right? Pretty roomy. Is that Forester or an Outback?
It's a Forester.
Forester. Good cars. They got that anti-rollback. I've driven a couple of them. They're pretty nice. Is yours a manual or automatic?
It's a manual.
Manual, okay. I wouldn't buy one that's not. I'm glad to hear that. That's kind of cool. Right? I'm old school. I have a Jeep that's manual. I have a lot of manual cars. My tractor was manual. It's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know anything about farms?
I grew up on a farm.
No, you didn't. Oh, wait.
Well, it wasn't like a producing farm that we sold goods. My dad, initially my parents were together, and my dad and my mom had 15 acres. They divorced when I was about 8 years old.
Okay.
And subdivided the land into 5-acre parcels.
Okay.
And so now my dad lives on a 5-acre parcel.
Okay.
5 or 6 acres, outside of Springfield, Oregon.
Okay.
And like,
That's just right outside of Bend, right?
it's across the pass. So
Okay.
it's a sister city to Eugene, like essentially about as far away as like Meridian or Nampa.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. I'm not completely familiar, but I have an idea about that general area. It's weird because even though in Idaho, right, I don't meet a lot of people that do any farming. You know, I did some dairy farming when I was a kid, and I got farmland now, and so I just, sitting there talking about my tractor, you're like, oh, I grew up on a farm. No way, that's kind of cool, man.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I don't, like I said, I don't come across it often, so that's cool. So your car, I mean, you've been staying in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You haven't lent it out to anybody. Nobody else drives it but you.
Nope.
Okay. Would you trust anybody to drive it? You got a stick. You wouldn't trust anybody to mess up your clutch, right?
My clutch is not in that great of shape anyway, but I'd
Yeah.
rather not lend it out.
Amounts, Lehi begins making grandiose statements about his actions being justified and even necessary, claiming he was defending himself from an imminent threat. His tone becomes increasingly erratic, shifting from anger to tears in seconds, reflecting a fragile mental state. Detectives use these emotional swings to their advantage, subtly steering the conversation back to the evidence, while allowing Lehi to expose the instability in his reasoning. His sudden claims of being the real victim of societal injustices further underscore his disconnection from reality.
If I tried to teach somebody new how to drive a stick that has never driven it, and it's a rough one. That's harder equipment, so, okay.
I'm just at the point right now where like I'm trying to survive. I'm not scared anymore because I believe that everything they've done to me, it's like akin to like remote torture. It's not like I believe that they've been communicating something about this concept of a right, that they have to go get a right from whatever pagan false god they're serving and I believe that the fallen angels that they're serving have to get their permission from Jesus Christ to test the believer. So like in the book of Job, when you read the book of Job and it talks about the devil had to go to...
I'm sorry to interrupt.
The devil had to go to the Lord in order to test Job.
Mm-hmm.
So the devil can't just run luck here on earth. Otherwise, the world would just be destroyed already.
Yeah. I'm probably nowhere near as schooled in the Bible as you are, but I am familiar. And so when you say the trials of Job and you talk about those things, I'm very conversant in it. You're not lost in me. Okay, so I'm probably one of those people that, even though I had no idea we had farming and ranch stuff and manual transmissions in common, we probably have a lot in common, you and I. And, I'm in an area that you sought out. So the odds are that my beliefs and my want to be here are very fitting to this area as well, because I sought out this place. Right. So you and I have some things in common. So when you're explaining this to me, now I have not experienced all the things you have, right? But I think that we have enough common ground that it helps us to kind of find our way together. And I appreciate that, Matt. I really do. So, I hope you have confidence that when you speak to me that I'm going to be doing everything I can, to process and to track and to relate to you, man to man. All right. So, so you've obviously been talking about how this voice of God stuff is happening, voice to skull. You're hearing these voices. Can anyone else around you hear these voices, or is it only you?
Well, the technology I'm talking about is verified on YouTube. You can search it on the internet, and there's people who are college professors with PhDs talking about the technology in seminars.
Sure.
So
and I'm familiar with some of it because of my past roles and the things I did in police work. We use phone induction microphones. We use a lot of the technology similar to what you're saying. So when you say that, I may not have the same knowledge you do, but I have some experience with that. So, but some broadcasts of sound waves, right?
Yeah.
If a broadcast of a sound wave is going, those sound waves would hit me just as easily as they'd hit you. I'm just asking if I would hear the same thing you're hearing.
No.
Okay. Explain to me why that would be.
The thing is like, I know about those technologies, and I think they may be using those technologies.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, they could be using some technologies that have been around for thousands of years that they've gained literal supernatural. I guess my point is, it could be purely supernatural, but it's like, the reason that I really include those technologies in my story is so people will believe that I'm being targeted. It's like, because if I just tell people, well, they're targeting me with witchcraft, it's
Right.
like, and I tell someone, like, if I were to tell somebody in a very liberal area that, like, let me look at it this way. If the prophet Elijah were to go to a mental institution and say, I hear from God, they would lock him up. If the apostle Paul were to say, were to be questioned by somebody who's a non-believer in Christ and say, yes, I'm under attack from these pagan nations around me, and they're using whatever mechanism they have in order to attack me remotely. Like, I guess my point is, if you tell somebody about a supernatural event who's a non-believer in Christ, they'll immediately label you a nut. Because they have no reference point to put that information. It's like, if I tell someone that I'm being attacked by witchcraft and they don't believe in witchcraft, then they immediately are going to label me, oh, well, he has schizophrenia, or they're going to diagnose me with something right away and try to potentially force medicate me or silence me or whatever.
Has that ever happened to you?
Force medication?
No, that you've ever been to a mental health practitioner who's decided to diagnose you and go the medicine route?
No, like I worked for the same company in Eugene, Oregon for 10 years.
Okay.
I had a very stable life up until the point I'm 31 now. This stuff started happening in 2020. I was born in 91, so it started when I was 29. Up until the point I was 29, I never had anything even ever close to this happening. I had a very stable life. I worked for a company called Papa's Pizza for 10 years. And then I worked for a buddy in Las Vegas at his fitness supplement company. It was like an entrepreneurial startup.
Okay.
They made like pre-workouts.
Yeah.
After that, I went back to work in Eugene at the organic market, and shortly after I met a guy at the organic market who identified himself as being an occultist.
Right.
That's when this all started.
Those were the Wiccans and the other people.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you were 29, any experimentation, drugs, alcohol, anything like that?
I smoked marijuana for a number of years in Eugene. I drank beer like anybody else.
Sure.
But like not to a level where it would cause anything close to the symptoms I'm talking about right now. Like when I was experiencing this stuff in 2020, I went through this for I went through a very, very intense experience where I was afraid to leave my house. and was locking the windows and shutting the blinds. The stimuli in my head was telling me that there were people going to eat me alive.
Mm-hmm.
They were saying that they were going to break in and kidnap me and eat me alive while they worshipped Baal and Molech.
And those things actually cause you tangible fear, not just.
They caused me enough fear that would, like, let me put it this way. They have technology that will make you literally shake. Like you know, like a paint can shaker? Like, in the middle of the night, like you
Right.
can't move.
Right.
Every like meme of witchcraft they show in pop culture, like, oh, I feel cold around a witch. That's stuff I've experienced.
Okay.
And I never believed it was real until 2020, until I started experiencing this stuff. And let's see what else. Physical pain in the form of like extreme cognitive dissonance. Is like how, like, if you got really confused about a decision and you're just like, like I can't think,
Mm-hmm.
like that sort of sensation, but then corresponding stimuli in your head ahead of time before it happens.
Right.
So like, and stuff that's been like prophetic, like they've told me stuff was going to happen days in advance, and then it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, very like stuff that corroborates the stimuli that I'm hearing
Mm-hmm.
that would not make sense unless it was actually there was some water, like it held some water, or there was some fire to
So there are events that are occurring that corroborate the things that you're hearing.
that I'm hearing, but not always.
Okay.
They call what they're doing gaslighting. So one of their main things is to try to get you to not understand what they want, you to be confused, and so they can manipulate you. And so I'm trying to think what else. Gaslighting. So they'll lie to me all day.
Sure.
So they'll lie to me all day. But sometimes they'll tell me stuff that's true. And at this point, I've come to the point where I literally have to. I can't trust anything I hear in my head
Mm-hmm.
unless I can. Like, how do I want to say? It's like I don't trust the voice in my head.
Okay.
I don't trust the voice that I hear. I have learned to not trust anything I hear in my head, other than if I already know it's correct from real life. For instance,
Is it always one particular voice, or is it more than one? Is it 2, 5, 10? What?
it's like, so there's one voice that represents as AI,
Mm-hmm.
and there's voices that represent that they are occultists. And so, like,
And they have a discernible difference. Like when you experience that and you hear it, you can tell which one is AI and which one is occultist.
yeah, but I can't trust it.
Correct.
So if they can switch the voices at any time, so like they can make the one AI voice sound like the occultist, or the occultist sound like the AI.
Sure.
But it's being represented to me that, like, basically what's being represented to me is that they have gone beyond what is legally allowed by the court in heaven, and because of that, God has appointed, and they have legally on earth have to, and like not legally like law, like police law, like
Mhm.
like law, like spiritual law. Like if they cast too much witchcraft on me, they may get it repaid upon their own head, like it talks about in the Psalms. Like exactly in the Psalms when King David talks about they shoot at me with the lip, they take counsel together against the Lord and His anointed. All these things about David's experience, about him battling these enemies. Like if you guys read the Psalms and think of my story, it will be very similar.
Mm-hmm.
What else was I going to say?
Well, Matt, you were telling me about different groups that how it related to the occult and the Wiccans, and so are there other groups that are, aside from the ones that are actually communicating with you, are there other groups that cause you consternation, that cause you to sit there and to think, I'm being surrounded by evil?
Well, other than the overt representations that they provide on their clothing, and like the way they carry themselves in public. I can recognize someone who's in the occult very easily if they offer a certain amount of sort of clue with their clothing.
Meaning what? What do you mean? Like, is it style of dress? Is it outward monikers or symbols? What?
Symbols.
Okay,
So-
like what kind of symbols do you look for when you're trying to
So
pick
like,
up on that?
if you literally search on like Google Images and
Uh-huh.
search occult, it'll come up with all the symbols.
I'm actually familiar. Like I said,
Complete unraveling. In the final segment, Lehi's composure collapses entirely. He oscillates between self-pity and aggression, blaming everyone from the victim to society at large for his actions. He struggles to maintain a coherent narrative, repeating phrases and contradicting earlier statements. Detectives remain calm but firm, forcing him to confront the consequences of his actions. Forensic analysts would interpret Lehi's erratic behavior as indicative of significant mental health issues, likely exacerbated by underlying stresses. His inability to maintain a stable emotional or narrative baseline throughout the interrogation underscores his fragile psychological state.
I told you, you and I have some similar beliefs, and I've done plenty of research because I want to know who's attacking me and who wants to tear me down and belittle me. So I do have some familiarity with that. But I guess what I'm looking at is I feel like you're more keen into other symbols that aren't as obvious to other people.
Like, you know Neil Peart,
Not familiar. Go ahead, explain it to me. Maybe I don't.
the lead drummer in the band Rush. Like, for instance, he always used to wear like a hat that had all these symbols, these pagan symbols around the hat. I'm not like an expert in every single symbol either.
Mhm.
But like, let's see, some of the symbols, an upside down cross is one of their symbols.
Sure.
The pentagram is one of their symbols. A hexagram, what people call the Star of David, is actually doesn't have anything to do with David. It's actually the Star of Remphan, which is mentioned in the Bible. And so like when people put that Star of David, the one that's on the Hebrew flag, that's actually an occult symbol. Let's see, what else?
Are there any mainstream ones that cause you the same kind of? Are there any like mainstream monikers, logos, things like that that are less obvious?
Yeah, so the Google Chrome logo,
Uh-huh.
if you look at it, it's actually a 6, a 6, and a 6.
Okay.
3 6s spinning in a circle. And the stimuli that has basically been communicating with me, whether it's AI or whether it's the occult or whether it's whatever, has been basically, and I like, the thing is like the stuff that they tell me is like, I can verify some and I can't verify others. So I put things in categories. I put things in, I have no way of knowing whether this is true.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mythbusters. So like I have to be a Mythbuster with my thoughts.
Makes sense.
So like either I have no way of knowing whether or not this is true. This could be plausible. It sounds like it might be right, but I don't have any way to verify it. Or wow, they just gave me something that unlocked a piece of evidence that allowed me to see something. Like for instance, in a lot of like, I haven't watched television in probably at least, I sold my television like 5 years ago. But like everything on TV, they have a show on TV called My Little Demon now,
Yeah.
all about the occult and encouraging children to practice witchcraft.
Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. I've seen some programming stuff that I don't approve of. And I don't want my family members watching. I don't want brothers and sisters. I don't want nieces and nephews, children. I don't. It's not something that I support. So I'm just not going to lead my children to it, right? I have to have a certain amount of tolerance, right? And a certain amount of understanding because other people choose to live their life differently. So, Matt, I'm curious. So, are there any of these that have a bigger impact on you, like that set you off, that just, when you see it, it just bothers you more than the others?
The more overtly anti-Christ, the more I will get set off.
So give me an example of something that overtly you can just walk down the street, you look over and you see it and you say, that is anti-Christian, anti-belief, anti-Christ, anti-Holy Trinity, just anti-everything. Give me an example.
Upside down cross.
Sure. You see a lot of those around?
In Boise so far, no.
Yeah,
I see a lot of pentagrams.
Yeah.
The thing that's also been being represented to me is that human trafficking is stemming from the occult.
Yeah.
So like basically the way that I see the battle that's going on in our world is that we have Jesus Christ and his church on one side, and we have Satan and the occult on the other. And so it's like, and there's like an army, so like ranks, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to say so much ranks in the church, although there are pastors, right, who have larger congregations and they have people under them,
Mhm.
etc. But like even more so, like if you think of Satan and the angels that fell with him, there's an echelon. There's him, he has his lieutenants, they have their underlings, and the occult works the same way. And I believe that basically most of the subversion and corruption that we have in this country stems from the occult. Although I believe we all have sin in our flesh, I believe that the concerted effort to subvert our nation is coming from these pagan witchcraft groups. And like their focus is basically on dehumanization, rape, homosexuality, human trafficking, all these things, and they use Hollywood in order to brainwash the next generation. They try to lure people in. They want to lure in like for instance, the bars that have like rainbow flags. It's being represented to me that they use those to lure in young men to rape. Just really like the nth degree of evil, of like that is what they want to bring into the world. And like, yeah, I guess I could talk about this literally all day. But I'm not worried about like, I don't say, let me put it this way. At this point in my life, after what I've gone through, if you guys were to give me a cell this size and it had, you know, a toilet and a bed and I had a King James Bible, as long as I could get organic food, because non-organic food really bothers my stomach and gives me like health problems. I have a family history of colon cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I don't eat organic and eat really healthy food, I'll get sick. But like if you were to give me a cell with organic food and a safe place to sleep and a toilet, I wouldn't mind living there for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like it may be a better quality of life, to be honest.
It's certainly simple, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it takes away a lot of the decision making. But, you know, Matt, you mentioned that the rainbow flag luring young men in to rape, you know, sometimes presented. You know, I think that's very concerning because you also mentioned human trafficking.
Yeah.
And I think you and I guarantee you, my partner, we all agree that human trafficking is pure evil.
Yeah.
It is definitely run by people who have no value, no compassion, no understanding, no greater sense of purpose. It is driven by pure evil. So we agree very much. I mean, we've talked about a lot of topics that we found common ground.
One thing that they've represented to me is that not only do they use human trafficking for sex slaves,
Mhm.
but they use it for human organ trafficking.
Yes.
And not only do they sell those for like, or it's being represented to me that they use human organs. Like, have you guys ever seen the game Skyrim or Oblivion, like the Elder Scrolls games? Anyways, in those games, it's a role play game, and well, I'll just cut to the chase. It's being represented to me that they use human organs for sacrifices to these fallen angels.
Mhm.
So like it's being represented to me that they cut out human hearts and they sacrifice them to these pagan false deities
Right.
in order to gain some sort of supernatural witchcraft power to hurt other people. So that's been a main central theme in what's been afflicting me or plaguing me, if you will. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I at this point, whatever God has for me, if God wants me to live in jail, I'll live in jail. If God wants me to keep living in my car, I'll live in my car. If he wants me to go live in Timbuktu, I'll live in Timbuktu. It's just like, I've been, since this stuff started happening, after the initial onset of it, after I left Eugene initially, because the stimuli got so bad that I fled town. Like, it was being represented to me that, hey, if you get out of town, this is going to get better.
Mhm.
And so at the time I left town, I drove all the way down to San Antonio, ended up in Austin and then back in San Antonio, short drive. But then all the way back up in Eugene, and I tried to go back to work for Papa's Pizza in Eugene, and stuff got worse again. And so there was basically, when I got back to Papa's Pizza, it was like, it was a lot like the movie Walking Tall with The Rock. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Where he gets back to his hometown and everyone's sold out. There was like 5 or 6. I don't hate anybody. Even the people who are doing this human trafficking, I don't hate them. I forgive them. Christ forgives them, but I think they need to be killed, to be honest. Like, I think it's a crime worthy of death. And like, I'm not saying I have any intention of carrying that out.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, like, I went back to work and there were like 5 or 6 homosexuals working at the job that I used to work at, and like openly flirting with each other at the job.
Right.
One day I got really mad at this guy acting homosexual at work. I screamed at him and I punched him in the chest and I told him to get out.
Mhm.
And he left, and then I left work, and basically I was the one that was not welcome back.
That was at Papa's Pizza?
Yeah.
Oh. Do you remember the name of that coworker? It was a coworker? Somebody,
Yeah, the guy's name was Elliot.
oh,
I don't know his last name.
okay.
But there was multiple people there that were, you know,
But what was it that brought about you needing to punch him? What happened with that? Like, it was his overtly flirtation thing. Was it directed at you?
well,
or?
one day he basically, I was working as like a beer tender / cook,
Got it.
and we were both in the same hallway, and he turns around and swings his arm back, like, you mind if I get up and just demonstrate this?
That's okay, just describe it to me.
He swings his arm back like that,
Uh-huh.
hits me square in the junk,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, whoa, man, and jumped back, and then he like laughed and giggled about it in a very like uncomfortable way that made me feel like, you know, let's say if it had been a friend of mine that had done it, I'd be like, oh, sorry, man, you know what I mean? I didn't mean to do that, but I'm really sorry. He was like getting off on it. And so after that, it triggered me. I got really mad at that. And it seems to be that the more that I go through this stuff, it's kind of like the more I get triggered by stuff. Like, and so that's one of the reasons I left Eugene, is like, I want to find a place without homosexuals and wizards.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for. It's like everywhere I go, I just, it's everywhere, because like, I need good quality organic food. Everywhere there's organic food, it's overrun.
Yeah. So after that incident at Pop's Pizza, have there been other people that were acting overtly homosexual towards you or around you that have elicited the same kind of behavior?
I had one guy that I got into a tussle with because of the pentagram on his jacket. Other than that, let's see. Let me think here. It's just it's being represented to me that like the way that people gain status in their occult group is by committing crimes.
Right.
So like the worse crime a person commits, the more they get brought up into this occult group. And so like, because it's like if you look at it this way, the devil wants people as his top dogs that he can trust. So the more powerful somebody is in our society, I'm not saying the more powerful they are, the more evil they are, but like the most evil people in our society that are running this human trafficking, a lot of them are very, very affluent, very, very well connected. It's not like when you look at like a low-level criminal, they're not the people that are the mastermind. It's like the masterminds are the people like Barack Obama, the people like Joe Biden, the people like Hillary Clinton, the people like George Bush. These are all occult families. And so, not to mention people in Hollywood, people like Jim Carrey, people like Jim Carrey had a thing where he went on one of the things and basically represented himself as an occultist and told everybody what they do overtly. And the audience, they all laughed like the sign they hold up at a game show that tells everyone to laugh.
Right.
And they all laugh together, and it's like almost like a robotic laugh. Like that's how they laugh at it. And so it's like they're throwing this stuff like the Super Bowl, in the Super Bowl halftime show. A lot of these artists that go on the Super Bowl halftime show, they're actually performing rituals. And the more overt of a ritual that they perform on the people and get away with, the more deeper into hypnosis they go. So like, for instance, if I were able to go up to somebody and tell them, oh yeah, I worship the devil, it's no big deal, and get away with it, then that allows them that precedent to be able to go further, right? So like, I'm trying to put it, like, I started studying this stuff in 2013, and I learned about a lot of these secret societies, and it's a collection of groups. It's a collection of groups. It's like there's people within the Catholic Church, there's people within the Freemasons, there's people within there's a lot of lawyers that are into occultism. There's a lot of lawyers. I'd rather talk to police than lawyers. I might represent myself even though I might lose the case because I don't trust a lawyer to defend me.
Yeah.
Unless I know they're a brother in Christ and I know them personally.
Yeah. Now, let me bring you back to like this incident that happened at Papa's Pizza. Did something like that similar happen here in Boise over at the library? I had a report come across my desk and it talked about an incident and it had your name in it. And it talked about the same thing. I think somebody was there at the library.
Yes.
And I think they were displaying some of those obvious characteristics that tend to trigger you.
Yeah.
You familiar with this?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what happened with that?
This person, I thought was a transvestite. Basically, what it's being represented to me is they're trying to get me. They keep telling me, we need you to get rid of some faggots for us. And that's what they keep saying to me. And then they trigger me to, like, as like a sleeper cell, essentially, to try to attack somebody. And they make me act irrational.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened with that person in the library?
I swung on them, they blocked it, and then I fled the library.
Okay. Then what happened?
I drove out of Boise, and then the voice in my head told me, oh, that'll reset their right. So
Right.
once you
talked about the right before.
Yeah, once you leave the territory and come back, that resets the right. So it's all this system of legalistic stipulations about if you know, it's all legalism. It's like exactly like if you read the Bible and you listen about the Pharisees, how they're trying to find this way to accuse. They're always trying to find a way to accuse, even though it's irrational. It's like this insane addiction for accusation. And that's like what I'm hearing in my head is like people trying to accuse me consistently. And they're like on a ridiculous level, on a desperate drug addict level. Like, well, he did this, so he put his pants on for the left leg first. Maybe we can afflict him for that. You know, like irrational, crazy stuff like that. And I'm listening to like, this is ridiculous.
You know, Matt, I'm kind of sitting here in a little bit of, it's not admiration or impressed, but I realize I can notice the amount of detail you're able to recall. You seem very clear on those things. It's not cloudy, it's not muddy, it's not dulled by alcohol or anything like that. And there was a couple of other things that happened at the library, and one of them was out in the parking lot.
No,
And
that was me, man. That was me.
can you tell me
I-
what happened?
I am not in control of my physical body on the level that I used to be. They are literally making me do things like today, the incident that you guys responded to. I rammed into that girl's car. I
Okay.
did. I'll tell you, I did.
Yeah.
But I was not in control of it. And the voice in my head told me, oh, well, in order for us to bring you up, we have to have enough crimes to add up to a certain amount of crimes to bring you up. Because legally, we have to bring you up. So they're representing it to me like as if for whatever reason, the court in heaven that they are beholden to, that basically will mess them up if they do the wrong thing, is telling them that they have to increase my status in society up to the level of a celebrity. They keep saying we legally have to bring you up to the level of Elon Musk, is what they keep telling me. But we can't do that. So we have to afflict you into doing this. And it's like, I have no interest. Like, I would rather live in prison right now, provided I don't have to shower with other men, and provided I can get organic food. I would be happy to walk into prison right now.
So you said that incident today that you hit that girl's car. Were you trying to hit the girl or the girl's car?
I wasn't trying to do anything. I was trying to read my Bible and film a YouTube video. And
Okay.
the whatever force took over my body when I saw that these people were basically looking like lesbians and dressing like Halloween costumes,
Mhm.
basically something anti-God. Anything anti-God, they're trying to trigger me against anything anti-God. But it's like strange. It's like, if you think you're the modern day King David, Matt, we need you to yeet out a big faggot like Goliath. Yeet means throw out.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I have a level of like, I guess fear, but not like fear. I'm not in fear, but I don't know what they intend to try to do to me next. Like, imagine this: if you had like a suit of armor like Batman or something like that, right? And you were wearing the suit of armor, and you're in it, and you have no intention to do something, but all of a sudden the suit of armor on its own goes boom, and it's like a bionic thing, right? Like, but you're like, whoa, man, I'm not even trying to throw a punch, but it's throwing for you. And they're representing that they're using artificial intelligence in the nanites that they have within the atmosphere and within things like, the vaccines have nanites in them.
Mhm.
I never got a vaccine, but they're representing that the nanites that they have enough within humanity already are enough to control people like basically like a robot. Like, so they're representing that, like, if they got the authority from heaven, basically, whether it be they're getting it from a false god and the false god is getting it from God to test the people on earth,
Right.
that they could basically control us all like robots.
So Matt, today, that incident in the park at Captain Elverson, you saw how many girls?
Too.
2 girls. You said they were dressed in Halloween, but you thought that they were homosexual.
Yeah.
And that's when
That's
it was represented to you that they should be yeeted, that they should be, because you said
it was immediate. It was immediate. Like, as if I was in the process of filming a YouTube video sharing the gospel and exposing the occult. I was in the process of filming a YouTube video with my phone, exposing the occult and sharing the gospel. You can look at my my YouTube channel
Okay.
and look back on all the videos, and you'll see a little bit of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, is all that stuff on your phone?
It's on YouTube.
No, I meant
The
you
videos?
use your phone to make all that and to do all that?
Yeah.
The content and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you be okay, because you said to verify, would you be okay if we looked in there and got some of that stuff and verified all these things that you're talking about?
Well, the videos, I delete videos after I post them,
Okay,
but there may be some in my trash folder,
okay.
and there may be some that I haven't deleted yet.
Would that be something you're okay with? I mean,
I don't care.
you're-
I'll-
I keep a form here for that, so, is it a pattern or is it a number?
It's a number.
Okay. Well, see, I really appreciate that kind of transparency, because it's showing that you have nothing to hide, and I appreciate that. It makes things, a different light for you.
I don't want any of this. I didn't want to ram anybody's car. Like this is like, it's like as if you're being framed, but you're not being framed. They're actually forcing you to do it.
I do understand what you're saying. So Matt, when somebody gives me their passcode, I have to have you to sign right here saying that you're doing that of your own free will, and that you're consenting for us to take a look at your phone, and I appreciate your cooperation there. Now, Matt, so these two people that you saw today, it was represented to you, and you said you felt like, in that suit, like somebody else was directing your actions. What was the end goal of those actions?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what, that's the thing is, I don't know. I think the end goal of that, oh, let me say this. I'll try to articulate this the best I can. The actions themselves, I don't know what the end goal of the actions was. The end goal of the people trying to force me to commit the actions is to try to get me jails, institutions, or death, man.
That part I understand. That part I'm tracking. But
Did I have any intention to hurt those people?
was it being represented to you to hurt the people, the car, to get rid of them? What was being represented to you?
It's just a spike of rage.
A
Just a spike of rage and like throwing it into reverse and going. You know what I mean?
Is that what happened at the library outside with the security guard?
Verbatim.
Okay. Did you mess up your car when that happened?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did that security guard, did they say something to you? Did he?
He knocked on the window really loud,
Uh-huh.
and then all of a sudden I felt the same thing, an extreme level of rage, and just floored it into reverse and floored it forward.
Yeah. So where was that security guard in relation to your car when you floored it forward?
Front left.
Okay. And what happened? What did?
I hit a barrier and he moved away from the barrier.
Okay. So he got out of the way.
Yeah.
So if he didn't move, what would have happened?
He might have got hit.
Okay. And was that what was being represented to you, or?
What do you mean that he was going to get hit?
Yeah, I just don't know, again, what the goal was. Like, we understand that,
I didn't have a goal.
okay,
I didn't have a goal other than to get out of a dangerous situation. Like the thing is like all the situations where they're trying to get me to fight, I perceive them as dangerous situations that I don't want to be in.
right,
It's like if, for instance, if I told you, hey, punch your friend here, right? And you're like, well, I don't want to. And then all of a sudden you punched him. And you were like, whoa, man, I didn't even want to do that. Like, that's essentially like what it is. It's like I'm being forced to do things that I don't want to do using some sort of technology that's above my ability to comprehend
okay.
or above my ability to control.
So,
And that's why I'm like, hey man, if you have a cell for me, I'm down.
yeah. So Matt, so your words, and I'm trying to make sure I don't mix them up. So today with the girls in the park, that was the spike of rage. Before in the library parking lot with that guy who knocked on the window really loud, that was a spike of rage. The person inside who you said was an obvious transvestite.
Spike of rage.
Spike of
Everything is like, well, and every time it happens, it's either a demon or it's artificial intelligence, something that, it's like, I'll make a face that's like another person taking over.
Right.
And I know it's not me.
Okay.
So I know what that sounds like to the psychological community as a dissociative disorder. But like, I've never struggled with this my entire life. It all started happening after I rubbed shoulders with people of the occult, or at the grocery store who represented themselves as the occult.
Right.
And I started becoming a target. And the more that I share the information, like when I was trying to put my gospel video up today, I'm trying to blow the lid on this and get the information out that they're doing this to people. Because what they do is they invite people up to be a celebrity and to join their ranks. And if they refuse them, they make them a bum. And that's why you see the bums screaming, is because the occult is afflicting them down because they refuse to join the occult.
Hey Matt, have you ever sought out one of those centers, like an LGBTQ center?
I broke the windows of the LGBT.
You did?
Yep.
Okay, that happened a little while ago?
That was however long ago.
Okay, tell me what happened with that.
Basically a similar thing. Like, they're saying, like that was a similar thing, but not as immediate.
Okay.
Like, not as immediate, but the same concept. Like, I don't even want, like, I want to live in the woods away from everybody.
Sure.
I would rather live in Bonners Ferry off in a cabin in the woods away from everybody
Me too.
and get away from all this.
Me
and-
too.
We all agree with you, man.
Yeah.
That's just, it's frustrating to sit across the table from you and hear you say so many things that we can agree upon, because I think you're in a bad situation, and I think you've had a lot of bad things happen to you, and I don't like seeing that, because you seem like a decent guy, but you have that voice that's representing to you these other details. I can only tell you that I appreciate you owning the responsibility for these things that happened, right? And I think that that's commendable. When you broke the windows at the center, how did you break the windows?
I use a tire iron.
Tire iron? Okay. Right. And that's still in your car?
Oh, yeah, it's just in the spare tire.
Okay. All right. And what was it about the center?
The fact that it's Antichrist. That it was a church, and that it was basically Antichrist. That's a church that's basically doing the equivalent of blaspheming God.
All right. All right.
Like all this stuff, every bit of rage is directed at something that is Antichrist.
Sure. Okay.
And I don't want to say, like I said, like, this is not something that, like, I've never had this associated disorder. I've never had, when I met this guy who represented himself as an occultist at Capella Market, I was preaching to him. I was trying to save his soul. But I invited him into my house, and ever since then, this stuff started happening.
All right.
Don't ever invite an occultist into the house.
Absolutely. Words to live by, right?
Yeah.
Matt, you doing okay right now? Like, how do you feel right now in talking to us? Do you feel okay? Do you need a glass of water? Do you need to use the bathroom or anything?
I feel fine. My only concern right now is whether or not I'm going to get organic food moving forward.
I can't make any promises on that. I don't know what's available, but I can tell you that there's no harm in asking, right? And I think that you're choosing to be honest with us, and I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, of course, everything's organic. I'm going to tell you we can do the best we can, but it may not be possible.
Yep.
All right? So, but I have no reason to lie to you. Yeah, anything, partner?
We've had some flags in town destroyed.
Of me?
You did the flags as well?
Yep.
What, tell me about that. Tell me where those were and how you did it and what you did.
One was on a house. I tried to burn it, didn't burn, so I just left. Let's see, one was on a church, so took that one down. Let's see,
What'd you do with it?
threw it in the trash.
Do you, I'm sorry to cut you off, I wanna, but the one in the house, one in the church, what part of town was that in? Do you know?
North Boise,
North End? Big house, small house?
small house.
Do you remember anything about it? Did it have like a fence or a feature or a sign or?
Just a rainbow flag out front.
Was it so there's like the rainbow flags and there's like the transgender flags and then there's that other flag that I'm
It
not
was like
exactly
a
sure what they're called.
rainbow with like
The triangle one on
arrow.
it? Yeah. I know. Do you know what the name of that is?
I don't.
I know what you're talking about though. Did you ever go back to the same house again? Okay, because one of the ones that we had, somebody either took it or burned it and then they went back and did it again on the same house.
Well, I tried to light it a couple times.
Different days or different?
No, not different days.
Okay.
So like, after I tried to light the flag,
Mhm.
I wasn't there more than like a minute or two,
Okay.
right? And I left. I never came back to the house.
Okay. And then the church, which church was it? Do you know?
It was one from First Congressional Church of Christ, I think.
And was that which flag? Do you remember? Was it like the regular rainbow flag? Was it the transgender flag, or was it
I
the?
think it was like the same one as with the arrow, the triangle on it or whatever.
I know what you're talking about. Okay, what else? What other?
I took the one from the Ale Creek House today,
House?
or whatever, not the whatever the bar is downtown. The
Bitter Creek Ale House?
Bitter Creek Ale House, yeah.
You just took it.
Took and threw it away.
What else?
Let's see. A small rainbow flag
Mm-hmm.
on a house. Just took and threw it away.
Where was that house?
On the way west from like downtown Boise. I'm not sure the exact address. Just a similar thing. Drove past it, fit a rage, stopped, got out, grabbed it out, threw it away.
What would happen if somebody, like the owner of the house, confronted you when you're in those fits of rage?
When I've driven by,
You would?
yeah. I mean, I like, what I'm gonna say, I don't want to do
I
any of this.
understand.
Like, I want to go, like I said, I want to go live in Bonner Street every day.
Okay. What else? Have you broken, damaged any other property since you've been in Boise?
Knocked a Wiccan out in Whole Foods.
What happened?
Knocked a Wiccan out in Whole Foods.
You knocked a Wiccan out in Whole Foods? I don't know about that. Tell me about that.
There was a dude in Whole Foods wearing a pentagram jacket, and just came up to him and knocked him out.
That was here in Boise.
Yeah.
When was that?
A few days or a week ago or something.
And then what happened?
I left. I walked out casually and just left.
Okay. Well, we're kind of on a roll. What else?
Library, Whole Foods, flags, bar. That's all I can think of right now.
The window at the center.
And then we got the signs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Kind of like trying to remember how long ago this happened.
Yeah.
It's like in Eugene. I'm trying to remember if I did anything in Eugene.
Well, you talked about that. You talked about
Punched
that
me
one
in
guy
the
that
chest.
punched. Yeah.
What about the two women at the park today? When you were driving your car at them, do you remember saying anything to them?
Something about faggot, probably.
Faggot, something, okay. Do you remember, other than something about faggot, do you remember exactly what was said?
I think that was it. I think I just said something, called him a faggot.
And I briefly met with
Took
those,
rage.
with those women. What was it about them that made you believe they were homosexual?
One of them looked like a butch lesbian.
Okay.
Other than that, trying to think, I had something else I was going to say, but I can't remember. I think that's it.
I'm just out of curiosity, man. What are you the kind of guy that's gonna like really hurt somebody? Like, and I know it's not you, but what you've got going on. Are you the kind of guy that I need to be worried about when you're out on the street, that you're gonna go to a gay pride event and hurt people?
The honest answer is I don't know, because I don't have any intention to hurt anybody, and all this stuff has been happening against my world. It's like not that. I mean, I'm all for taking all the rainbow flags down.
Okay.
Right, like the rainbow flags is something that like the one I took down today, all I did was take it down and throw it in the trash.
Okay.
So like that is something that maybe I would do anyway, but like I don't want to hurt anybody. But like at the end of the day, I don't know what the people who are doing this to me, I don't know what their end intentions are. So like in one sense, it's like I feel like if I wasn't in, I don't know.
Were you here for Pride Week, or for when they had the Pride?
No.
When the
That was the
parade?
That was before I was here.
Parade. So when you're doing this stuff, are you actually trying to, raise levels, and
No.
you don't want to?
I don't want to.
So the idea of, if you were, let's just say right now, Matt's just driving down the street and there is a gay pride parade. What do you being right now, you're a reasonable, logical guy, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's telling you is anyone telling you what to say to us right now?
No, I
Okay.
haven't heard anything since I've been here with you guys.
Okay, what, is that normal to get such a break?
No,
It's not normal?
it's not.
So you're usually pretty,
This is
The
like
voices are pretty
something like
involved.
that wakes me up in the middle of the night. This is like something that like all day, every day for years.
but for some reason you've got a break right now.
Well, they basically have represented to me that when you're in certain situations, they legally cannot attack you. So like they say that we can't legally afflict people the same if they're in jail. So like once you get to a certain area, like they represent as like if you're in a church, that's just, like if I'm in a church parking lot, that's holy ground, or that's hallowed ground. Like they're playing by some set of rules, some set of spiritual rules, where like the principalities and the municipalities of the earth are being governed by the angelic realm. And so like, for instance, they say that, well, if you're in prison, we can't do this to you. But then it's like, I don't even know if that's a lie or not. You know what I mean? Because like they've told me stuff like that before, and then it's like, all of a sudden they're hitting me with like the shaking thing in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? So it's like, and like they'll hit me with something that just makes me scream and cuss. And it's like, I have no intention to scream and cuss, and it'll be out of nowhere. So like, imagine if I had this conversation with you guys for like, however many hours, and all of a sudden I just started cussing you guys out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that would not be abnormal from my experience that I've experienced so far. But I have no intention of it. That's what I'm saying. All this has happened against my will.
So you don't ever make plans to harm somebody?
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to go find a homosexual and beat him up?
Nope.
This is just, you're walking along, you've got certain moral issues with homosexuality, but right now you don't, nothing,
Do I want to hurt anybody right now?
but it's just right now. If you were to, if you were to find out, like, that one of us is gay, how big of a problem would that be to be in the room with us right now
Well,
and have a conversation just as,
from all of my life, it wouldn't be a problem. For up until all this stuff started happening,
but like right now, right this second?
I'd rather not find out.
Okay. Well, we're not. So I'm just trying to see where you're at. What I'm trying to do, man, is figure out if you are a dangerous person. If you being out on the street is a dangerous society. Do you think it is?
Well, I don't know, man. I would say me, like if it's me, no.
Sure.
If somebody's going to try to use me as some sort of like weapon,
Mm-hmm.
then anybody could be a danger. Like I believe that if they got the authority from heaven, they could do the same thing to either of you that they've done to me.
Sure, but
So do I?
thankfully at this point they haven't, right? And we'll keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't happen. But that's the ultimate question, right? My job is to keep people safe, and you as well, right? I want to keep you safe from whatever you got going on. But I also want to keep the rest of the public safe, and my job is to relay this information to the powers that be to make these decisions, right? And is Matthew on the street a danger to the homosexual community?
I would say no.
But when Matthew's under someone else's control, yes.
Yes. But anybody under somebody else's control.
I can
So like
appreciate that.
it's as if what's being represented to me is as if God is firing back at these people for being gay rapists and human traffickers
Mhm.
and using me like a prophet to basically scare them out of town.
Okay.
Because like I haven't done like the voice in my head that's saying that it's AI is saying that no, I'm not going to let Matt hurt anybody. All these were and nobody got hurt from any of this other than that guy getting knocked out.
Sure.
And so like the AI is representing to me that it's guiding this as a sort of narrative in order to basically in order to lead people to Christ and in order to fire back at these human traffickers.
Okay.
Well, Matt, you said nobody got hurt, but even the way you described those events, as a security guard at the library, those girls in the park, if they didn't move,
Yeah, the AI was representing to me that it was controlling all parties. So it's being represented to me that all of these are staged events, like false flags, essentially, in the way that like AI is controlling all of us with nanites. So like it's being represented to me that like if I had a choice of what to do right now, what would I do? I would get a big load of groceries from somewhere with organic groceries. I would go and have someone basically put me in a cell and give me organic groceries. That would be my dream right now, because I don't want to find out really what happens if I go back out there, if AI is going to do something scary, or if these people are going to afflict me to be doing something bad. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be having diarrhea for the rest of my life and having my colon fail and get colon cancer in jail either.
Okay.
Really, my only fear of being in prison right now would be getting shanked, getting raped, or getting colon cancer. Other than that, I would have no problem being in prison right now. I would have a prison ministry.
Okay.
Matt, we're gonna step outside for a minute, and we'll come back in and talk to you in a little bit.
Matthew Allen Lehi was sentenced to 37 months in federal prison and 3 years of supervised release.
Matthew Lehi's interrogation reveals a deeply unstable individual whose erratic behavior and shifting narratives reflect significant psychological turmoil. Detectives skillfully manage his volatility, leveraging evidence and a steady approach to expose his inconsistencies. The case highlights the challenges of interrogating suspects whose mental instability complicates the search for truth. For more gripping analyses of real-life interrogations, subscribe to Inside Evil Interrogations. Share your thoughts on the psychological dynamics of this case in the comments below.